We're ready. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Village of Ruidose special meeting. It's February the 17th, 2022. It's 2 p.m. And if you'll join me for a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, God, for the snow.
Amen. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
And welcome to facial nudity. The governor has just stopped the mandate for masking in indoors. So thank you, Governor Grisham.
Is it in writing?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. It's in writing.
Because I know
I'm halfway.
well, we've always heard things about, oh, she's going to do this, she's going to do that, and then it takes weeks to get the.
But it was on Fox News.
Yeah, it was on Fox News.
It's on virtual writing.
Yeah, virtual writing. Yeah. All right, roll call, please, Ron.
Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councillor Salas.
Here.
Councillor Letterman.
Here.
Councillor Eby. Here. Councillor Cornelius.
Here.
Councillor Coughlin.
Here.
Councillor Jackson.
Here.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in today. And Josh, the guys did an excellent job. The streets are just as clear as they can be. Rodney, the sidewalks are beautiful. I mean, I got several compliments on that deal. You guys are down there just knocking it out. So thank you for doing such a wonderful, wonderful job. Item number 1, we have one and only, is discussion of possible action on lodger's tax recommendation of funding for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $790,000 for musical entertainment, Ruidose adventure tours, convention center performing arts, and community events, also known as the Rodney Griego. So rather than hide the money like they do at our legislative session, we want to get it out there and talk about it. So go ahead, Mr. Griego.
Good afternoon, Mayor and councilors. So in an earlier meeting with the Lodgers Tax Committee, Sydney and I presented 2 different agenda items for some entertainment for the upcoming calendar year. The way we presented it to the Lodgers Tax was in 2 different groups. One was focused on a concert series for 2022. It would include a minimum of 3 concerts. The budget we requested was $310,000 for those 3 concerts. When we originally published the RFP, we included 3 potential concerts that we were looking at. The genres weren't really identified at the time. One that we will be presenting probably during the March meeting is actually a rockabilly, and then 2 others after that. Again, we presented some tentative numbers of roughly of $100,000 for each of the events, but depending on the quality of entertainment, that could be kind of shuffled around a little bit. But again, we'll be presenting task orders for each of those concerts as we plan on assigning them.
Where are you proposing doing on that?
Those 3 in particular would be are being proposed to be held at Wingfield Park, and the budget for each of those would include the promoter putting together the actual entertainment, as well as all the stage, sound, lighting, fencing, porta potties, ticketing. Yes, there will be some obligations of the village. We would like to manage the restrooms at our facilities. We don't feel comfortable with turning those over to someone else, so we would assist with, most likely with parking, restrooms, that type of stuff. But the rest of the event would be a turnkey program put on.
Would the promoter also do the advertisement for it as well in this package?
It would be a combination, and again, depending on the conversation we have with the promoter, the village, will use its own marketing team, and there will be some through the promoter, but it will be a combination. And then, we're also planning to work with the RMA, the Ruidose Midtown Association, and in that case, it could be split up, but promotion or marketing between three different. It would be through RMA, the village, and the promoter on that case.
And some of these events, they have their own following. So like Rockabilly, can you give us an example of Rockabilly?
I mean, the biggest name recognition is going to be the Stray Cats, but then they have like Orville, what's his name?
Stray Cats.
Rockabilly is more of like kind of a culture. There's not as much name recognition with that, but you have the pinup, you have the tattoos, the cars. It's kind of the whole umbrella of that.
Cars is Rockabilly?
Like the rat rod kind of truck car shows.
Oh, the car show, okay, I thought you meant the band, I'm going.
Oh, no, yeah, the cars,
Wait,
I know.
what?
No, more of like a
Yeah.
car show.
So this would be like a multi-day event proposed?
The
Each-
goal would be.
Each one of them will be a little bit different. The Rockabilly is a multi-day event. The other two, we haven't quite nailed down exactly how many days they're going to be, but we'll be planning. That one's the first one, which, we're proposing to host that one on, is it the
June
third?
19th, 18th,
June
Father's Day
19th.
weekend.
Oh, good.
We would be coordinating, and our plan is when we host events to work with other events in the community as well. So I mentioned the RMA, we'd like to partner with them with some of their events to not only, but to complement it, but even to help improve it. That particular show for the Rockabilly, we're looking at partnering with the Tattoo Convention, which is at the convention center. So we'll be coordinating our schedules, again, marketing, and then that's a good example. So that tattoo convention will also be cross-marketing, not only with the tattoo convention, but the Ruidose, the concert, and so there'll be a lot of marketing.
Ruidose will be going on in Wingfield Park at the same time?
Yes, that is that weekend. So how we're wanting to partner with the Midtown Association is they would be coordinating the beer and wine portion of the Ruidose as well as all of the vendors. We would be coordinating with the promoters for setting up the park. And so that actually does take some of the duties or responsibilities off of us. If we were hosting an event, we would be taking care of the vendors.
Right.
the
And so some of this
food
come out of
vendors.
RMA budget too.
Yes.
It's a collaboration.
So
How
Rodney,
does the gate work? Who gets the money?
So, that's something that we haven't worked out. We've begun the initial conversations. We haven't finalized it. The plan is the direction that we've had and kind of conversations we've had with Team Tourism is what we're trying to do is build an event, a quality event that will bring people not only the one time, but they'll want to come back. Our initial goal is not to make money or to profit off of it initially. We're looking at more of a long-term or long-range goal to build in the profitability to it. And so we're also looking at when we partner with these other organizations to also build their capability. So, like in working with RMA, they lost a lot of their funding. They haven't hosted an event in 2 years. I think, they would try to put on the Ruidose, but it wouldn't be as easy for them to put it on because that funding source that they had from the previous, they haven't had a show in 2 years. So this will assist them not only in putting on the show, but it'll build their revenue stream as well to put money back into the district. So again, it's a partnership with revenue sharing for those particular shows. Not every show will be a partnership. One of the second shows, we haven't exactly narrowed down the day, but we're looking at July 16th. We're looking at possibly bringing in like a country music artist, but again, that one would be just the Village of Ruidose putting on that show. Again, it would be in Wingfield Park. And so all of that revenue, again, would be put back, or I believe the way lodger's tax had presented was recommending that it be set aside into
Escrow? What?
into a fund where we can use it to to build. So we don't have to come back next year for all of the
Enterprise
fund, an enterprise fund. So we'll have, we can utilize that to roll over, whether to put it towards future events or the following calendar year. So we wouldn't be approaching you or the lodger's tax every year for the full amount. We would be building up towards that, again, ultimately with the goal of being self-sustaining.
Did you get the logistics figured out from the finance department? On how, can we hold that money like that? On the lodger's tax funding?
Mayor and council, so the way I was envisioning it is that for the first year, we would pay the seed money out of lodger's tax, and then any gate revenues, any other revenues that would come in would be collected in an enterprise kind of fund, so that the first year would be paid out of lodger's tax, and then hopefully as they see which events are profitable, then we can build that kind of history to see what dates and other things like that to go on forward, so that fund keeps on rolling over and over by itself.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, so that would act more like an accrual account, and although you're calling it an enterprise account, it's actually an accrual account that will target funds and sequester them for future use.
So it would be, the fund would be special events or Ruidose events, whatever we decide to call it. And it would just be a pot of money that we could have projects in to commingle all the event money together, but still track it individually by project so that we can see which ones are profitable, or maybe learn from something next year to do something different. Yeah.
Mayor, councilors, it's really a special fund as opposed to an enterprise fund.
Yeah.
And it'll be much like what we're doing with the grindstone revenues, how they're split, and then it goes into a special fund, and then it's for future projects. Instead of it being for future projects, it's going to be for future events.
So will any of this be able to help fund like the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Act type thing? Will any of that be able to be used for that?
No, Mayor, not directly. What our intent is to look at also doing partnerships, like that's why we're just meeting with Kendra. So for their wine event that they're having in Ruidose, would be held in conjunction with the Rockabilly events. And we would look at a revenue share with the Main Street organization. Their money would go into their program to where they could do, public, private, or not public, private, it would be a not-for-profit grant program to
The businesses or
in Midtown.
property owners? Good.
Yes. And so there are a couple of tools that we're looking at, and there's been some changes that were proposed. I haven't followed those, but there are additional tools that the legislators were talking about to enhance our ability to enact, to work with the Metropolitan Redevelopment District. So, okay.
So are you going to use similar to like the Bluegrass Festival that Telluride has that goes on for like 3-4 days? That's something like that you expect this to grow year after year and have it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So just curious, what metrics are you going to be using to see which ones are profitable?
So the way that, so again, we'll be tracking the budget. Just for profitability, we'll be able to track that by tracking our expenses and the revenue that's generated. However, the team tourism that we have with the new tourism director, our department, the convention center, we're looking at other ways to track that as well. A direct correlation is lodger's tax surrounding the time that we're in. We've talked about attendance, the information that we gather through the marketing efforts. And we haven't finalized that, but we're talking about a holistic approach to do that exact thing, to track, not just a profitability, but the experience.
Mayor, Council, just to add on to that, our tourism director, she's been having those conversations of how we can have other means of tracking the impact. In addition to that, Team Tourism, including the Community Development Department, they're looking at getting away. We didn't renew Buxton because of the way that they're capturing information wasn't as useful to us as it used to be. and it has to do with the way that cell phones track activity. So there's a different analytical software that we're looking at. But, Rodney's correct, a lot of our marketing software does have analytical software as well that goes along with that.
Going back to the concert dates, on the report budget request, you got June 11th, and that's what I was assuming you're going, but you mentioned on Father's Day weekend.
When we submitted this, it was before we talked with the Midtown Association about joining those events and kind of collaborating with that.
Okay, so we're having this concert event and Brew,
So instead
Fest.
of the June 11th, it would be the.
right, but on that 19th, because the other concern I have is with the Cool Pines Classic softball tournament. I know they take up quite a bit of rooms and stuff, and that's where, going back to the numbers, how much we would get an accurate of a new event. That's what I'm seeing this, and that's why I support it, is that it's a new event. It's appropriate for lodgers tax to use because we're starting up stuff, and then hopefully, just like the advertising, marketing, it starts decreasing because you're banking the money and it's building itself for the revenue, and I agree with that. It's just that, I thought, okay, that's, kind of a slow weekend or not a big weekend than others, so we're combining the three events for the one weekend, is what I'm seeing.
And what we have been doing, Counselor, is we have been, over the last several months, been compiling all the calendars, community calendars.
Right.
From the Inn of the Mountain God, Spencer Theater, the racetrack, ours, the convention center. And we're looking at all of the activities that are happening on those dates when we're considering these events. And we'll be, as Team Tourism, we'll be applying that to everything that we're proposing.
Okay?
But that's a great, to have one of those, like the Rockabilly with the Ruidose. So that's a really good way to do it.
I think it'll benefit all the partners, and
Yeah.
we're trying to create more activity in the community.
Yeah.
We'll get people to spend in, and just like Councilor Salas mentioned about the tournament, that'll be a different activity for them to do in the community when they're not playing, or if and when they finish as well.
Yeah.
And then you're going to weave in the adventure tours through all of that?
Yes, and that's part of the secondary portion of the budget, but the Ruidose Adventure Tours will be promoted at all of the events that we're proposing, as well as others.
But if we're combining three big events, do we have the capacity to serve that potential draw to the village? I mean, as far as restaurant capacity, room capacity, and things such as that?
At this point, I would say no, because of just the labor force and
Right,
stuff
right.
and closing hours, but hopefully by summertime, we would see more, at least longer opening hours, but who knows?
You know,
You're probably gonna have food vendors, and there's already beer. So
Rodney
that
says
takes care of
build
some
it,
of
and
them.
they'll come.
That's right.
Yeah, they'll be camping out in the park, but they'll come.
Well, I mean, hey, that's what they did in Telluride. I went up there one year and they said there was 100-some thousand people, and it snowed, and there was people in tents. The hotel rooms were full. The grocery stores were, getting inundated. And then the next year they had shower trailers. That was for fees.
Yep.
They had outdoor cooking festivals that they invited in for a fee. So it just kept growing on itself.
But, I mean, we're talking the tournament, which is a huge draw, brings a lot of people to town. That alone already, creates issues with the restaurant capacity. And Rifle, I've been hoping the labor pool thing's gonna be ending for a long time. So I'm not as optimistic as you are in that area. And then we've got the draw, which it sounds like the Tattoo Festival has a huge following, and we're gonna be bringing in a lot of people for that. And then with this on top of it, adding, Ruidose does its own thing, but now if you're gonna be adding a big concert to it, then, the idea is through lodgers tax, we wanna bring more people to get their heads in the beds to generate more lodgers tax, but do we have that capacity? And that's my concern, is that we're gonna overwhelm it, yes, moving forward, but when we start off pumping, it's this the first one of the series, and we've got all this stuff happening right at one time, are we gonna be able to handle it? And it's, I don't know, I'm just asking the question.
I think, and those are good points, and kind of, I think the important part of that aspect, considering it, is, again, team tourism and the tourism director. And unfortunately, she can't be here to speak on behalf of that, but like another thing that we're working on to identify and kind of alleviate and work through those issues is much like the Republican convention. And so we knew we were expecting a large influx of people in the community, so we had a team meeting with, that included police department, streets, water, and we'll be communicating those needs not only to our departments in the village, but also to the lodgers, to the restaurants and all of that prior to the event happening. So that information is out there, so that the plan is that way everyone is prepared.
Prepared, they order enough stock, we don't go to Albertsons and the shelves are bare. You know, and the restaurants, you know, start 86ing tons of, half their menu is gone. Well, you know, hi, welcome, you can have a cheese stick and some fries, and that's about it. Otherwise, we're sold out.
So, Rodney, at one time, we had talked about buying a stage. Did that ever happen?
So, unfortunately, we delayed that. I believe the money is still, it's still in the account. We've been working through that. So, you know, personally, I wasn't quite certain what we should do. You know, again, I think an important part of making that decision was having a tourism director. That was one of the items that a previous tourism director had brought up. Initially, I thought personally, when we hired a promoter, that we wouldn't need a stage there. I mean, of course, we would be paying for each and every individual event. But since I thought that myself, we've had meetings, and I believe we are going to proceed with purchasing that stage. Again, the funding is still in the account, because we not only would be able to utilize that stage for smaller events, but we're also looking at, it would have that availability for events in or around the convention center. And the stage that we're looking at would not only benefit us, but it could fit, well, we're gonna size it where they could pull it into the convention center, and you would have a fully operational stage with the sound and the lighting, something that we would not have to contract out.
Good. Can you get it by then?
So there is a time frame, especially,
Yes.
you know, with COVID and all. And we've just been discussing that. It's about 6 months out, for delivery, but that's what it was when we looked at it a year ago. It was like 6 months out. And, you know, it was talked about delaying that purchase until June, but, again, Sydney and I have been discussing, I like to take care of things sooner rather than later. If we wait till June, then we're missing our season. So we'll be working with the purchasing department to speed up that
Well,
timeline.
maybe you could get it for the second and third.
Exactly. Where would you store this?
That's gonna be the next request, because you're also gonna have to store this ice rink that you wanna purchase too.
I'm not saying that you're not correct. But, so we do have some storage capacity. Unfortunately, we're filling it up pretty quick. That's something we seriously are gonna have to
You're adding a
consider.
lot of activities and a lot of materials. It's,
The stage is a self-contained, so it's a fully enclosed, so once you seal it up, everything is protected, it could be stored.
In a fenced area.
It folds up into a trailer, like a
Oh,
truck.
nice, okay.
Is
You can
it
pull it.
protected from the elements?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The floor folds in on itself and closes in the trailer.
So we'd
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
better warn Adam
So it's
to
all
watch his
closed,
building.
because I'm thinking of the one that,
Vargas.
WPS had, that just kind of folds up, but it's this
No,
open
yeah,
trailer or
that's his,
something.
no, Joe's got one that folds up and it's like a big trailer, and
Okay.
the one that they're looking at folds them all up. And there's a company in Midland that builds these for the Rolling Stones and everybody, that they do it all right on site, so we need to get their name in there to see if they would bid on something like that.
It usually has all the, backline equipment on it already.
Right.
Nice.
Goes right back up and then you folds out and you plug and play.
Cool.
Rodney, Mr. Mayor, Rodney, for your outside activities with this stage, where's your source of power for that? Is there a utility pole that's dedicated outside, or?
So, depending on the size of the band, the events that we've held in Wingfield Park are smaller events for, like, we had musicians for Wingfield Park, for the farmer's market. That was adequate for those size of bands. But if we're looking at a larger scale band, which is most likely a larger stage than the one we would purchase,
Right.
you're gonna have to bring in a larger size generator until, if we look at developing the park, upgrading the electrical infrastructure to 3-phase and having more availability
Yeah.
is a plan that will be included in the master plan.
plan.
That's where I thought it was in
You
the
better
master.
get on that because P&M's not very speedy these days, if they ever were.
And just kind of, again, on that subject, in working with Zeke and planning the project on Center Street, we have reached out to P&M, let them know that, because they'll be repositioning some of those poles along Center Street, and we've made it known that if those are any of the ones that will be affected by an upgrade, that we should look at doing that at this time, because kind of warned them that in my opinion, it will be coming. So we have had those conversations with them to plan ahead.
And to let you know, I know there's almost 200 H2 workers scheduled to start arriving the 1st of May to work in, not just at Alto Country Club, but different restaurants and businesses all over town.
What's H2?
It's a foreign worker.
Oh, okay.
And I've talked to the company, International Employment something or other, and I was too late to get in on it. And so we're working with some J1s, but they're actually sending down a team down here. They said this whole area has exploded in the last 3 years, and they want to start doing more for this area and interviewing businesses on how they could better serve. So that's what I'm saying. We should have more workers this year than we had last year.
So that's
Where
going
they
to take up
gonna
all the
stay?
tent
Yeah,
space.
so where are these additional workers gonna stay?
They've already got homes.
They
These
do.
companies have been buying houses and remodeling them while you've been sitting around bitching. They've been taking care of business.
Because I know in my neighborhood, Alto Country Club has a house there, and they have the J1s, I think up to 5. I think it's a 4-bedroom, probably converted to 5-bedroom, because usually they have about 6 or 7 workers for the restaurant out
That's
there.
pretty sharp.
And yeah, I mean, I meet them, we meet them, Jamaica, they're from all over.
South Africa,
Yeah,
Ireland,
South Africa, and
I
UK.
know the hotels do that as well.
So there's a lot of that going on, and we've got 2 homes in the Downs that's being remodeled right now to take care of up to 10 workers.
We'll have a reggae concert.
Yeah, they'll bring their own music and their own dope, so.
Yeah,
Mayor,
so
on
we,
on the J1 side, aren't those by allotment and total numbers per state?
They didn't say that. This time they learn, not earn. So it's an apprentice program that I have to do through my degree and through my chef's culinary degree.
Sure.
That we're put them into programs, and so we have to, it's a little trickier. And so J1 is not optimal. H2 is the better.
Better of the two.
But they said that once they figured out that this is here, and then a lot of it, like the J1s, we have to have cultural experiences. So a rockabilly concert would be cultural. You know,
It
sending them to Fort Stanton would be cultural. You know,
Walking through Midtowns.
be cultural. Taking the trash out would be cultural. But anyway, there's a lot of these things that a lot of us have been working on since last year. Some have been much more successful. We have other business people in town that have purchased property that they're wanting to build these worker camps. And that's another issue that we talked to people in the county. You know, man camps have been around for a long time. Some of them are really nice in West Texas. Well, those aren't being used as much, and so some of those people are looking at maybe relocating to the county. They would have their own water source brought in, all this stuff. So there's a lot of these things that we're thinking outside the box, you know. It's not just going after the 14-year-olds, you know, and the 80-year-olds, you know, because we've done that too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to take up your time, but I was just trying to allay his fears and his fear mongering over here. We like to save that for the people in the valley in the water department. That there's things that are being done. It's not going to be perfect by any means. But people have been working.
If there aren't any other questions on the musical series, I'll move on to the different events and performing arts.
Okay.
Yes.
So the second portion of the funding that we requested for was to cover the Ruidose Adventure Tours, some potential for performing arts performances at the convention center, and then just a couple of different items, entertainment for the Wingfield Market, looking at improving and adding a second drone show, bringing a powwow event into the community, and then purchase of an ice rink, a larger one than we had rented this year.
And that's in that 790?
All
Yes.
of those items were included in the total for $790. And I would like to allow Sydney to elaborate a little more on the all of the different items.
So, thank y'all. For the convention center, we are budgeting 3 performances of $20,000 each just for open performing arts. So this isn't limiting us to one style of event. It's kind of what we could get, what could service the community. We're in the talks of a Cinco de Mayo, maybe get some comedians, stuff like that, just to, and specifically in our shoulder season, just to extend people coming out to Ruidose during all year. The adventure tours was a success last year, and this is building on that, tweaking some of the tours. The prizes for this year would include a camper trailer, a fishing setup, so same theme but a little bit different. The Independence Day drone show and the Christmas drone show, this would be adding an event with those shows, and doing the option of 2 shows as well. We got very lucky for the Christmas one, it just how the timing rolled through. This one would be a complete customizable show that we could add local things in. We could also do sponsorships, and they said we can do anything like QR codes or logos, anything that we want, we can do for these 2 shows.
So you mentioned 2 shows, so there'll be 2 nights of the drones.
It would be the same night.
It wouldn't be
Just
July
one night.
4th and Christmas?
The goal right now is to do the weekend before the 4th, so we're not interfering with the end. It would be that second. And with this one, we would be trying to do local partners as well to make kind of a whole day. We're talking about doing like a 5K run, a pancake breakfast with a nonprofit, and just kind of making a whole day 4th of July, bringing into Ruidose and in Midtown to have something going on during the 4th here as well as the inn. And
Well, how do you know you're going to be interfering with the inn? Because they move it sometimes. It was on the 3rd one year, and
the one,
Didn't we look at the
I
calendar?
think we
because
were,
it's on a Monday this time.
Right.
yes, and ours would be Saturday. We were doing for the 2nd that Saturday. So it wouldn't be on the 4th, which is why we have Independence Day. So we would be celebrating it that Saturday before, so people could stay in town longer.
On Independence Day, it looks like, so it was like 70,000.
They are charging about $100 per drone more on that weekend because they're booking up so fast.
Got it.
How much more?
$100 per drone more.
It's double the Christmas.
Yeah. But that's not, did I hear you correct? That dollar amount is not just for the drones, it's
It's
for the
events as well. Yes, it would be, like I said, a 5K run, a pancake breakfast, and something
okay.
in the. I'm working with the company right now to see where we can do it, if we can keep it at White Mountain or kind of other options throughout the community for the Independence Day drone and the Christmas drone show as well.
And is it gonna be 2 shows per time,
That was my question.
10-minute shows or something like
Yes,
that?
it would be 2 shows in the same evening.
In the same night.
It's like for another night, it's quite a lot more.
And are we limited in the length of the show because of the battery on the drones?
It's about that 8 to 10 minutes because of the battery. I don't know if y'all were there, but one you saw
Yes.
fall out of the sky for the first
And I
one.
saw quite a few of them at the end that were.
It's a battery thing. That's why they're that short. But that's why we want to plan an event around it. So have things to do during that. For the 4th of July, have like yard games, kind of whole barbecue thing.
Yeah.
So Sydney, have you considered, or would it be better to have one longer show than 2 short shows? Because that seemed to be the biggest complaint that I heard. Everybody loved it, but it's like, oh, it's done already.
I could ask them, they would just have to do more drones, I think, to interchange, which they charge per drone. So it's something I could ask to see what they could do, for
Yeah.
sure, within that
Yeah,
price
because if
point.
the drones are, the batteries are only 8 to 10 minutes.
Right, but if you could do like a 15-minute show, one 15-minute show,
But with like 300 drones and then
Stage
interchange.
them out.
And just for reference, the show that what we've budgeted for is
It's
a 150 drone show.
Which is what we did last time, and he said in the,
so they can't take, is it a pre-programmed show?
Yes.
So they can't take their show and add another, just add something more to the end of it and stick with the 150?
They would, the way I understand it, it's only a certain amount of time. So if you wanted it to be longer, they would have 150 drones that lasted a certain amount of time, and then bring in a second set
and
of
then as they
150
like
drones.
send them up, I guess, different. I can clarify, but it's the battery of each individual
But
drone.
I don't understand, if we're gonna have 150 drones, so then, in your proposal, it's 150 drones, so for two shows, are they only sending 75 at a time up?
No, there's an hour between where they charge and read each
So they can
drone.
charge
Change
them
the
up?
batteries or
Got it,
whatever.
We have to have a minimum of an hour apart to
Okay,
Was it an hour last time?
we were actually the coldest show they have ever done, and their machines froze. So they had to reboot and restart everything. It was a learning experience for both parties.
Yeah, and it was cold, it really was.
It
And
was
pitch
chilly.
black, and we need to talk about traffic, control next time. And a few things like that, but other than that, it was, I thought it was great. People were looking at oohing and ahhing, and then it was over, but, I think that planning other activities around it, and working with I like the White Mountain. If
I
we
do
can work
too.
with get people in there parking earlier, let them know they need to come, have some music playing real loud.
Having a event around it and not just coming back.
Yes, and then have it where we have lighting on the field so people can see, and then turn all the lights out when it's time, because people are falling all over themselves and,
so you can see the landmines you don't want to step on.
yeah.
P&M have those portable lights that come up.
Our street department
Light
has those.
towers,
Oh,
The water department.
that's what they're
Yeah,
called,
sorry,
light
water
towers, a
department.
little generator with a light.
I didn't know that we had those.
Yeah. They
Use
store
them
'em
streets
over
department,
the- Yeah,
our street or water department.
water,
Water, we have one, but the water has the other ones.
yeah. And they store it over in
Got
the
it.
shop building over there.
At night when they can see. But there's a lot of things, I think it's a great idea.
Well, what I would request is to go ahead and look at, for the Christmas drone show, is looking at 2 nights. Because that was the concerns that when the light show was going on the one night, that there was already previous plans or something scheduled, or wish there was another night with it. So, whether it's a Friday, Saturday night show or Saturday, Sunday night show, something to that effect.
They were
That
willing to
would-
do it, and when the quote, I believe, I can look, it is in my emails, he sent me the quote, I think it's an extra 3,000 for an additional night.
Oh, that's not that bad.
That's no step for stepper there, is it?
It ain't.
I'm still used to.
All I'm just saying, when it comes budget time, because I'm sure this is gonna get all approved, but just request that for the second show,
Okay.
or the second night, I should say, not
But
second
no
show.
matter what days you switch it to, somebody's gonna say, oh, I'm going out of town.
Well, yeah,
that
but
weekend.
it
Why
would
can't
be
we do it-
nice to
why can't we
have
do it
2
now?
nights to offer to our visitors. Oh, I wish I would've came in earlier, so
But it was
book
a-
earlier.
Take it or leave it deal, wasn't it?
It
I
was,
mean,
they were traveling through, they gave
Yeah,
us
you
a
gotta
very
yeah,
steep
they didn't
discount.
have a chance. This was just they
Just for one
snagged
day.
it
There
like
was a
they
lot
did
of
the
other
ice skating rink.
things that was
But it
going
also
on,
means
so.
you're gonna have to round up the crew for another day to come and set up to do the.
I don't have a problem with that.
else.
Mayor,
They like the overtime, so it's like, heck, yeah.
Mayor Council, one of the things that, that I think we should consider is what other type of activities can we do in between?
Right.
Maybe like a laser show and then, have the drone show and then a laser show that lasts a little bit longer and then the.
To keep it
yeah.
going, yeah, that's a great idea.
Great idea.
You can release balloons with candles in them.
And then if we put a pond out there, we can do some belly flops and stuff.
For the Christmas, yeah, it'd be cool.
Okay. What was the budget for the Ruidose tours?
110,000, it was 100.
Last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 110 this time?
110.
But I like the idea of maybe camping equipment, maybe their own kayaks or.
We have
Yeah,
a,
exactly.
what we budgeted for was a kayak package with, a cart and one of those coolers that come with it. All of this, we're also gonna try to brand with the logo this time, so the actual prizes will be branded. And a gift card to get fishing poles in whatever style that you would like for that one. The camper would be, it's the No Boundaries 10 series. It can be pulled, they told me my car could pull it. I don't necessarily, it's lightweight, meant to,
A small one. Yeah.
yes, with a little tent pop up, and it's really nice. And so kind of same theme, new rethought prizes.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
But still keeping with the OHV, a OHV motorcycle and a bicycle, because those were pretty big hits.
Yeah.
And the Jeep,
Not the Jeep, we're the kind of the camper instead of the Jeep this year.
okay, I agree, that's good.
The thing that I like about it is there were quite a few local people
Yes.
that won prizes. So, it's one of those things that, we're giving back and giving opportunities, and all of these, we're giving opportunities to locals as well as tourists. But, this is gonna be, this is amazing.
I would
gonna have
also
fun.
like,
You're gonna have no hair at the end of summer.
That's why it's colored so much.
I would also like to add that there's not an item that, we have an event upcoming that's not on the list, but it's in relation to this, is we're hosting the first outdoor
Yeah.
expo at the convention center on the weekend of March 12th and 13th.
Yes.
So far, we have around 50 outdoor-related companies that will be present. We're still looking at adding to those. That's also, we're looking at on kicking off the Ruidose.
Can you elaborate to the council on why you're wanting to do that?
So we're trying to promote outdoor recreation just as much as we can. We did look at an opportunity of bringing in the state,
Yeah.
the one held
Outdoor
by an
economic.
organization in the state. We went to that one last year in Farmington, but we're looking at hosting our own and promoting our own outdoor rec. We have a lot just here in our region that we want to promote. And then again, it is an outstanding opportunity to kick off the Ruidose Adventure Tours, which is also based on the outdoor recreation and providing those self-guided tours. It should be a really good event. If y'all have businesses or know of anyone who's outdoor recreation related, we're still looking for
So are we
vendors.
limiting it to people that are outdoor and recreation limited? Or are we opening it up? Because I'd hate to see it marketed as an outdoor event, outdoor recreation, and then you have people in there selling their candles and their.
No,
No, it's outdoor only. I mean, we have food vendors that are, I think that's the most like non-outdoor, but it's kind of needed. We have
Yeah.
anywhere from hunting, fishing, that hiking, biking, that is where we're
So you're
starting.
gonna have some bike retailers, manufacturers,
Like
clothing?
retailers, we have, some of the local places. We don't have many clothing, but we have like a kayak company coming in. I'm working with an RV company that's coming in. The people that we're looking to do the prizes for this,
In the eventual, one thing we've learned from going to these things is that you invite these manufacturers, developers, ideas, and then maybe they look and want to put a business in here, or it gives our established businesses an idea to go.
Connect with them,
we
yeah.
actually have a company, they do, tactical gear, that they're wanting to open something up here and are coming to this event for that reason. I've been in the talks with the Wildlife First Aid group. There's just a whole bunch of really awesome groups. that are
Perfect.
So
showing
would like
interest.
Cabela's or REI?
It's more like
participate or
holster
just-
kind, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Cabela's, I talked to them in Albuquerque, they said we are too far. REI has very strict COVID restrictions, so they told me that they could not, so.
Okay.
we've-
Ultimately, we would
But
like
that
to.
style, yeah,
But
that's the
what I
end
was
goal,
wondering,
yes.
to draw some of them. then.
REI was very excited, but their corporate trickle down, they wouldn't let them come.
And some other organizations, of course, we'll be working with the U.S. Forest Service, the Smoky Bear Trailer. We've reached out to the Department of Game and Fish. They're bringing an ATV simulator.
Archery tents,
So what dates are those again?
March
12th
12th
and
and 13th.
March 12th and 13th?
we are
It's
also.
coming up.
Yes, we are also doing our 5K that morning on the 13th, just to
I
kind
saw
of
that. yeah.
incorporate everything. It's gonna be fun.
So you'll be having people like that sell nutritional supplements and exercise equipment, stuff like that, just Just the whole broad, say
And
outdoor.
and what are we calling it?
The Ruidose Outdoor Expo,
There you go.
Indoors.
indoors.
Mayor, you know, from the grill to the hot tub's heck of a
Yeah,
recreational event, so I don't like that barbecue grill isn't part.
so, but these are things that, you know, that we were working with, the state and going to these, and what was discovered is that so many of the stuff that our team was already working on, they would just copy and paste. And then we found out through the guy that was putting on this that they wanted quite a bit of money and we weren't awarded it, but we were planning on doing something anyway. So Manager Dodge has been working with these guys to, and I mean, it's going to be, I think it's going to grow. And you talk about rockabilly, you talk about these kind of things.
Mayor, if I may just comment on that, you know, the outdoor expo that they're having is more focused on trying to attract like governmental entities and different organizations that are involved with outdoor rec. And I just can't wrap my hand around what's the benefit to us to provide that type of an expo and pay $100,000 to get them in.
That's what they're doing on this.
And so I had a conversation with the state senator that actually puts it on. And I was just like, I can't understand, you know, most people come to us and want to pay to come to Ruidose and have a convention. You're asking us to pay to bring you here.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about conflict of interest or anything, but ours is going to be a homegrown event. I think it'll be super successful.
Hopefully it's something to grow on. My goal would be to have classes and seminars and just kind of.
We need to be careful how we say homegrown.
Yeah, well, there's going to be some of that too. I think there's a band that's already got that name.
We're only allowed 12 plants.
What else do you got?
We have the Powwow, which is in August 13th, I believe, at the Convention Center. This is kind of brought on with our Indigenous celebration. That was such a success. We would like to do something along this with dancers and kind of have a whole event at the Convention Center. I think we have up to six to eight categories per age group. It's going to be really awesome.
It's really
event.
extensive.
Can you make that a 2-day event? That was all I heard, that
I think
from the
I think
vendors
it
that
is
they were wishing
Yes,
there was
both
a
of them will
2.
be. The Indigenous, we're actually going to do it on Indigenous Day weekend this year.
Okay.
And the powwow will be 2 days as well.
Okay, so a
And
Saturday, Sunday, that's
The
good.
budget for the Indigenous Day is not included, that's within our department, but the powwow is a pretty significant event. It'll bring 250, potentially 250 or more dancers from throughout the Southwest.
That's
It'll
great.
be a really, really big event.
Anywhere from the categories they were giving me were 4, 5, 6-year-olds all the way up to 75 plus. So it'll be a.
And they'll be at the convention center, yeah.
Has any conversation started with the marketing department at the track? Have they been in contact?
Well, we've had some initial conversations on planning. Hopefully, as we're still moving forward with our team tourism, that we'll keep working towards that. Again, we have reached out with to coordinate our schedules and try to not step on each other's
Because
toes.
they're doing something every
Right.
weekend, every summer, and if I'm not talking about interfering or competing, but I think in addition to, because we've done that before, remember the old adage is we have one event, we can't have but one, and then we had that one time where we had 2, and it was even more successful. So it just attracts people that are going to spend their money, and
And those
doing
are
complimentary events.
and those are goals of our team and for the tourism director to work with all of the partners. I've been really excited about the couple meetings we have had. She's only been here 2 weeks, and we've had actually not a couple, several already. But a lot of those are working with all the entities in the region is going to be important, and of course the track is one of those. So
it's exciting.
And then the final would be purchasing a racetrack, or, sorry, purchasing an ice rink. Words are hard today. This is not my first slip. But purchasing an ice rink that would actually be much bigger than the one we rented. This one would take up the majority of the pavilion. And purchasing it, shifting our season to incorporate Thanksgiving and Christmas, and having that as a service, continuing with the Locals Day and having a service like that.
That would be great, and yeah, mark out those days that it'll be there, you know, like you said, from November to March or whatever it is through spring break. And, so you say it takes up the whole pavilion, is there still gonna be room for staging area for changing the ice skates and stuff? So that's included with this,
No,
or this is
that-
the actual rink, right?
Yes. When we measured it from where the rink started for that 80, and so the room that we had plus the rink will fit. I think it is the entire pavilion, give or take.
Okay, so, but there's plenty of room to change to skates and shoes and
That
staging.
same setup that we had was incorporated in the measurements and planning.
That's good, that's good.
So that'll have to be a relocation of the Christmas in the Park?
No?
No, I
I
think
thought
that,
it should have the ice skating over Christmas.
Well, we still have
I
Christmas in
think
the
we
park
can,
there.
we can
We can
make
fit
it
it
work. It
that's
would
where
be
they'll
a-
would be
put that
great.
stage
Additive
up
too.
and stuff.
It would be a great.
Yeah, exciting. That'll be,
Great addition.
we have everybody out there for the Christmas tree lighting with the real switch this year.
With a
Yeah,
working
they really had
switch.
me. I thought I was really turning something on and it wasn't.
So Rodney, we're having the ice capades for this as well, so we have the Christmas in the Park.
Tim can be the ice skating Santa Claus.
There we go.
Anyway, I think that's great.
I do too.
And if y'all have
Good.
any questions?
Wow, that's a lot.
In the agenda memo, I didn't read anything that the commission had reviewed this. Parks and Rec Commission.
Oh, no, they
Had to
haven't.
cancel.
Unfortunately, we were dark in November or December and January, and we've yet to have our February meeting.
Okay.
And unfortunately, especially with the music series, we are under a time crunch. In order
Yeah, I
to-
kind
And the-
of figured with it even being on a special meeting today, and why not in 3 weeks, but I understand that the concert series is.
What do you mean dark?
No meetings.
No meetings.
They took
Meeting.
breaks for the holidays.
They just didn't have a meeting. Dark is,
They're
like,
saving energy, they left the lights on.
Our meetings
meeting in
happen
the
to
dark.
be the fourth Monday of every month, and it's just for the last, as long as I can remember, that's been in their bylaws, their annual, open
Their
meeting
resolution,
resolution
yeah.
is that they don't meet in, those 2 months because it coincides with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and
you tracking that? There's all this new lingo from these employees that are around here. One of them says, track that. I'm tracking that. That means I'm following, I'm understanding. So now it's dark, so
I
you're gonna be so up on all this stuff.
know,
It is. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mayor, I move to approve the lodger's tax recommendation of funding for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $790,000 for musical entertainment, Ruidose adventure tours, convention center performing arts, and community events.
Any other comments? I'd like to say I appreciate yes.
Mayor, if I can make a comment just before you vote? Just for the record, this money is all coming out of cash balance, right?
Not all of it.
Right now, the 310 will be coming out of cash balance, and we have met our budget as far as the January receipts. So I was going to increase the revenues for the other, what is the other amount? The other
480.
480,
480.
to increase lodger's tax revenues, because we've already met the budget.
Okay, what I was gonna say,
That's my point, is that, we only budgeted lodger's tax at 1.6,
Yes.
and we've already started to exceed
See
that.
that.
So it's basically gonna be all cash balance by the time we're done.
but I just appreciate the Lodgers Tax Committee
absolutely.
and all the lodgers that are collecting this around, and I'll be glad when our new tourism director can go out and meet every one of them face to face, and so that they can, take better part in this. So anyway, roll call, please, Ron.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Counselor Cornelius?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
thank you, Mayor. And
And I believe that
Thank you.
concludes today's agenda. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys and gals.
Good stuff, man.
Right, they just put in a budget time, we need a 40 by 60 storage building. Oh,
Hey, Ronnie, if you fix the roof on that shop building, you know.
Young man. Nice. Tell him to get that pool out there for belly flopping.
Exactly.